I don't like debating people because in a debate, what is the construct? It's typically two people and there's an audience and you debate some opposite sides of some issue and then there's a winner of the debate. I think it's important to combat people who are claiming that they are using math, science, evidence, and physics behind their cause when in fact they either aren't or they're using it badly. That needs to be called out. Otherwise, if you just have a belief system, I don't really care. We live in a country that protects free speech, which usually also means free thought. You want to think Earth is flat? Go right ahead.
That stuff is flat.
Is the Earth flat or round? It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that? Go to the seashore. Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America. It looks like you might have a St. Louis hat on. I'm not sure. Just go to the middle of the Mississippi River and look south. Why can't you see the Louisiana? Why can't you see New Orleans? What's the problem there? Well, then climb a tower or go to the top of a hill or a mountain and you'll see a little farther, but you will not see to the other side of the Earth, places we know to exist.
If you want to get creative, use a fisheye lens. It's ultra-wide and will give a spherical effect in your images, allowing you to see everything directly in front, below, above, and to the sides of your camera. And now we understand a fisheye lens. It's ultra-wide and will give a spherical effect in your images. It's ultra-wide and will give a spherical effect in your images.
It's ultra-wide and will give a spherical effect in your images.
That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat.
Release.
If you're scared and walk away, cause there's no need to feel ashamed. Yeah, we all feel the same. Whoa, where's your passion? Where's your fighting?
Alright, now. The whole road is looking now. I'm going over.
Jumper away. Speed 725. Showing Felix at a stable descent. And Felix is back to Earth safely, the new world record holder.
So if the moon is approximately 50 feet, I think, 30 to 50 feet from here, this would be, to this scale, a mile away. Show us where the International Space Station is, Hubble, etc.
Okay. So if the Earth were actually this size, the International Space Station would be orbiting about a half an inch above the surface. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't, it's fine. He wants to, I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Right. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space, look at that.
No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. And then I showed examples of wide-angle lenses curving horizontal. I tweeted that.
You did.
But I don't want to be a spoiled, curmudgeon or anything. I just wanted to put. There's so much to actually be impressed with in the universe. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to be distracted by things that are not.
Just as applying the law of perspective to the horizon tells us that our Earth is indeed flat, the same principle applies to the setting of our sun. The scientist liars of our world tell us that the sun is 109 times more massive than the Earth, and that it is 93 million miles away. They state that the split between day and night is because the Earth is rotating, and that when we see the sun set, we are witnessing the rotation and our arrival into the dark phase of the spin, which is a time frame called night and when our moon becomes visible. Much like the proposed curvy nature of our world and the theory of gravity, this is complete nonsense. Before turning our attention to the sun, let's first look at two examples that debunk the heliocentric model of a rotating globular Earth. The first is the New York City skyline as seen from Harriman State Park's Bear Mountain, which is 60 miles away. If the Earth was a spinning globe of 25,000 miles in circumference, then this viewing from Bear Mountain's 1,283-foot summit should be impossible. If we take Pythagorean theorem, which determines the distance to the horizon being 1.23 times the square root of the height in feet, then this skyline should be invisible behind 170 feet of curved Earth. It should actually be beneath the horizon. Similarly, when ships pass the ocean's horizon, they should technically be vanishing over the curve of the Earth. A strong camera lens, however, proves this to be false. Ships do not vanish over the curve of the Earth, but vanish beyond our limits of perspective. The law of perspective on a flat plane dictates that a receding object diminishes in angle and height until the line of sight converges to a vanishing point, or what is called the horizon, in which the object then becomes invisible. The scientist liars claim that the sun sets and vanishes beyond the curve of the Earth, but this is nothing more than the sun moving beyond the vanishing point of perspective, which is determined by the limitations of our eyes, other objects, and weather. The same law applies to how we see the sun and its rising and setting. The sun never rises or sets. It is an optical illusion determined by the laws of perspective. We think we see the sun rise and set because of the convergent and divergent nature of our line of sight. For instance, this row of street lamps appears to decrease in size further down the line of sight before vanishing completely, when in fact all street lamps are of the same height and continue to border the walkway well beyond the vanishing point. This is the same with this line of HPE bottles. They are all the same size and they do not change size. It is just our perspective that makes it seem like they do. This is precisely what we experience when we watch the sun rise, set, and journey across our flat Earth.
Closest wound, alive my bones, fall back, heart sing. I'm going away for a long time. I'm going away for a long time.
Hi folks, my perspective here, and in this clip we're going to have a look at a solar eclipse that was taken from an aeroplane, and the shadow of the moon moves across the aeroplane and the land. So we're going to have a look at this in slow motion. This is a clip that is on YouTube. Now this clip, look at the hotspot and look at the shadow. So what are you seeing? Do you see clearly? Look at the horizon, look at the shadow and the length of the shadow. What are you seeing? You see, so let's analyze this. You see, this shows that we are not living on a ball. So for this to happen, for the solar eclipse to happen, remember the sun is 150 million kilometers away. This is what we are taught. The moon is slightly off that position, 5 degrees from the center. And so from the position of the aeroplane, the moon is orbiting the earth and blots out the sun. And these would have to be in line for the passengers of the aeroplane to see this happen. This is what we are taught. This is what we are told is happening. So the aeroplane must be somewhere near the terminator line. We are told that the footage was taken northwest of Scotland, near that area, and therefore the moon will block out the sun. Right. But this is not what we see in the footage. You see, remember the people in the aeroplane, the passengers would have to see the moon block out the sun. And the shadow of the moon would have to fall on the earth. And the moon is orbiting. So the plane is flying. So in this instance, the plane would actually be flying in the other direction. But nevertheless, just to get you an idea of what is happening, we see that the plane would have to be near the terminator line and slightly angled for the passengers to see the moon and the sun line up. So, from their position, how can the moon's shadow bend around the curve of the ball and go underneath the aeroplane? That's impossible. You see, the sun is fixed at the center of the earth at 150 million kilometers away. The moon is 400,000 kilometers away. The shadow would go across the middle of the earth. And look at the shadows, how short they are. You see the hot spot and the shadow and the short shadows. It tells you it's flat. And that the sun and the moon are very, very close together. Look, pay attention. There's the hot spot and the shadow in the same frame of reference. So the moon blocks out the light on the sun, and as it passes the sun, look at the shadow. It's long and elongated. How is it possible if we're on a ball earth? So what we are seeing, the aeroplane is flying, the moon is orbiting, and the moon shadow falls underneath the aeroplane, and the shadow is long, elongated. You see the shadow from your position on the aeroplane right to the horizon, and you see the hot spot in the same frame of reference, the hot spots from the sun on the clouds. This footage clearly shows that the aeroplane is flying above a flat surface. So look at it again. Pay attention. See how the shadow is elongated, is completely underneath the aeroplane. So the moon must be quite close to the source of light, because the hotspot and the shadow is in the same frame of reference from the passengers on the aeroplane. So if we compare the two, what you'd see on a ball, if the plane was flying over a ball, the shadow cannot extend around the curve of the ball. It's physically impossible. So the footage shows that the aeroplane is flying over a flat Earth. And it's as simple as that. We're being lied to, and our whole world that we've been told that we live in is a lie. It's an illusion. It's a deception. We are living on a flat plane, a flat level plane. Now, if the sun was far away from the ball, you see, watch how the shadow would react. Look, the shadows are short on the clouds. The hot spot is underneath the sun, and the shadow of the moon is long and elongated. This tells us that the moon is a 3D object and it's orbiting with the sun above a flat Earth. The moon is not a hologram, it is a solid flat object, because a hologram cannot block out sunlight. The moon is a solid ball orbiting with the sun over a flat plane. We live on a flat Earth. And so the light source, for it to cast a hot spot and a long elongated shadow, must be very close.
The question is, through your career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction?
They're both the same. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Thank you very much.
Mission Control, I've got some news for you. It's gonna shock you, so you better sit down. Listen very carefully. The Earth is flat, gentlemen.
A man who knows about the atmosphere.
I can't say I've been to space. I went up in a Russian MiG fighter jet to the edge of the Earth's atmosphere.
How high was that? Do you know?
Oh, I fucking forget. Shit. I fucking forget. But it wasn't that much higher than you know.
So a normal flight is like what, 30,000, and then what's like? I've heard they go higher, right? They can go up to like 35,000 for a commercial flight.
I want to say that it might have been like not much more than 50,000, but I can't back that up. I don't remember. But it was shockingly less than you would imagine.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah,
oh,
there
wow.
I am,
You made a video of it?
Uh-huh.
Does it show
it was
that it
for
goes...
Wild Boys.
Oh, no shit. Oh,
yeah,
my God. Look, it's going straight up.
Right.
Oh, my God.
They used a lot of stock footage. But at the same time, on the way down, this motherfucker did twirls and fuck. It was like the gnarliest roller coaster ride ever. And this is me filming myself. Like, look at that, dude.
Oh my God.
It's like it's fucking night up there.
Wow, that's incredible.
And that shows, for anybody who wants to say that the fucking world is flat, that's fucking proof, motherfuckers.
Well, you can see the curvature of the Earth. Wow,
Yeah.
that's nuts.